Hi and welcome to my latest vlog. I'm going to be spending the next week working on this canvas behind me, and I need to get it done in this week because in about 2 weeks I've got an exhibition coming up, so I need this piece finished, framed and varnished, ready for that exhibition. It's Monday afternoon rather than Monday morning. I'm a little bit sweaty because it's roasting here. And I've spent the morning packaging up some prints from my latest print drop, so they'll be heading off to New Hope soon. I didn't film much of that though, but you can see them on my website studiowildlife.com if you want to go and check them out. And I've also spent the morning writing some content for a magazine article about these brand new ACF canvases, which I am really enjoying using, and I'll leave a link to the website for them if you want to go and check them out. And this video is not about that, it's about my process and what I get up to in a week, so I'll not talk too much about that. So I've projected my image onto my canvas. You might be able to see that, you might not. I'll zoom in a little bit. And before I start, I'm going to spray a layer of fixative over this. And I'm not actually going to jump in straight away with the paints. What I'm going to do is actually transfer this, if I can do it right now. I'm going to transfer this canvas over to my tabletop easel. Excuse the mess, because I want to do quite a detailed charcoal underdrawing, and that's going to help me establish some of the values, and it's also just going to help me solidify the foundations of what I want this painting to be. So that is my first step, and probably going to be the main job for today. And I'm done, or at least I'm done with this stage, which is the very first part of my entire process, so it's still going to take a long time. But the next step is to go and spray this with a little bit of fixative. I'm going to do it outside, not in my tiny little studio, because I like to breathe. And then I'm going to come back and I am going to do a wash. And I'm going to do a wash of some yellow ochre acrylic paint just to lock everything in and also tone the canvas a little bit. Good morning, it's a brand new day. We are on to Tuesday. I left this to dry, it's acrylic, so it dried really quickly, and I'm ready to start painting. I'm going to work with oils over the top of this. But first I need to tidy up my workspace because it's still got all of the charcoal stuff there because I just couldn't be bothered tidying up yesterday. So I'm going to try and tidy that up, organise everything, and then get started on the painting process. Before I make an actual start on the painting, I've just grabbed a little bit of scrap canvas, and I'm actually going to just play around with some colour mixing and try and roughly get some of the colours that I want on my actual painting. I like to play around with this first on just this loose bit of canvas so that it speeds up the painting process, so I'm not figuring out what colours I want to use as I'm painting. I'm doing it a little bit anyway beforehand. Okay, so I'm really glad I did that step because now I know which colours I want to use in my painting, or I know a little bit more about which colours I definitely don't want to use in my painting. And now I'm ready to make a start on it. But the first thing that I'm going to be doing with this painting is trying to make myself a little bit uncomfortable with it. And the reason that I'm doing that and the way that I'm going to be doing that is through using brushes that are slightly too big for what I want them to be. I'm trying to focus a lot more on just building in the basic shapes and blocking in the right values and roughly the right colours rather than focusing on details. So I think by using brushes that are just slightly uncomfortably too large will really help me try to think of it a little bit more like sculpting, more like constructing the form, rather than actually like painting a wildebeest or a bird or a rock. I'm just trying to construct these big, bold 3D shapes. I've got this size 6 filbert brush which I'll be using for like blocking in quite a lot of the wildebeests. I've got my size 20 Studio Wildlife brush, this is like a 1-inch flat brush, which I'll be using for a lot of the sky in the background, and probably blocking in some of the structures of the wildebeest as well as the rocks. Then I've got some slightly smaller brushes, just because I want some for lights and some for darks. I've got 2 of each brush, one for lights, one for darks, because I think just having a few smaller marks in there will just add a little bit more interest to the painting. And then I've got some smaller brushes here, size 2, a size 2 flat, and size 2 filbert. The sizes don't really matter, the types of brushes don't really matter, but these are going to be my detail brushes. And if you compare that to one of my normal detail brushes, if I can find one, let me just grab one. If we compare that to one of my normal detail brushes, you can see how much bigger they are. So in my blockings, usually I get a little bit lost in the details, and I would actually start using a brush like this in the blocking stage, but I'm trying to move away from that a little bit more. So I'm trying to basically increase the size of my brushes from this tiny one to these bigger ones in these initial stages, so that I'm not focusing on details, I'm focusing more on those really important fundamentals of shape, of proportion, of value, and hopefully it's going to lead to a better painting. It's lunchtime, which is great because I'm starving, but I've got a good chunk of the first wildebeest done. At the start I was quite slow and quite precise, and I'm trying to tell myself constantly to try and loosen up a little bit more with it. So I sort of sped up towards the end and just started chucking a load of paint on, and that's the approach that I'm going to try and take for the rest of the painting, and try and just get a layer of paint on there. Quite fun, quite loose, and quite big, bold brush strokes. And then in the next layer, I'm going to work on refining that into something a little bit more detailed. But I've just got to really, really push myself to try and loosen up, because it's hard. I'm so refined when I paint. Trying to get everything absolutely perfect. And I think I'm just going to try and change my approach to painting this one a little bit more and see how that goes, and then apply that to the rest of the painting if it works really well. Anyway, I'm going to go grab some lunch, and then I'm going to come back and try and do that. But I'm liking it so far. I'm not sure yet on the colours of this, but I'm going to paint the whole thing in, and I can adjust the colours later in the next layer if I need to. Right, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to wait. I've not managed to block in the entire thing. I am going to call it for today. I've blocked in most of what I need to block in at this stage anyway, and I can just do the rocks in the morning because I'm probably not going to get them done for a bit. But honestly, I hate it at the minute. I just want to pick it up and chuck it out the window. The colours aren't right, the values aren't right, the composition just seems a bit meh, and I don't really know what to do with it. Like at the moment it's just looking like this like mucky brown mess, which I understand it's layer 1 and I've just got to move past that. This was just like get some paint on the canvas sort of thing, and there's still a long way to go with this, but I'm just not feeling it at the minute. Not very happy with it. I'm just going to have to push on and see what happens in the morning. Anyway, that's the end of today. We're going to go to the gym now, so hopefully that'll cheer me up. And then chill with Bella for the evening. I just want to show you something so adorable. Watch this. Hello. Hello. There she goes. And then we'll find her tucked up in a crate, holding a carrot. Hello. Good girl, Bella. You're so big now. Good girl. Hello. Hello, sweetie. Hello. Good girl. You have your carrot. Go on, bedtime. Good girl. I'll see you in a bit. So, last night, after talking to Amber about my painting, she basically just gave me a swift kick up the bum and told me it's too early to be down with this painting and to just get some paint on there and get started. So, that's what I'm going to do. I've just had some lunch. I'm still not overly happy with how this is turning out so far, but at least I've got a full layer of paint over the vast majority of the canvas. The wildebeest and sky's a little bit wet, but the wildebeest, I just touched it with my fingers, probably shouldn't have done that. But the wildebeest in the background is pretty dry, or at least dry enough for me to start working over the top of now. So I think that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to, I think, refine the wildebeest is my plan. And just get them to a point where I'm happy with, and then I can start thinking about the background a little bit more. So I am one wildebeest down, which is good, but it has taken me all day. Like blocking in the rocks and this wildebeest have taken me literally from about 8:30 this morning, and it's now 7:30 at night. So it has been a lot of painting, and the vast majority of that has been painting. So there's probably 6, 7, 8 hours of work, maybe more, gone into this wildebeest today. I'm going to try and get the back wildebeest done. He's a little bit smaller, and hopefully, because I've pretty much got an idea of what I'm trying to do now, I can just copy what I did here onto that one and it'll be okay. But ideally, I'd like to get this done today so that tomorrow I can start to work on the background a little bit more again and try and get like some grass and some foliage in here and start bringing this piece together. You might have heard a door shut in the audio in the last clip, and that was Amber and Bella leaving for puppy training club. So while they were at that until about 9 o'clock, I was painting this wildebeest. And we're done. I am absolutely shattered. I just about managed to get this background wildebeest finished. There's still quite a long way to go, and I'm not 100% happy with it, but I'm happy with it for now. I think the next steps are going to be adding in some of this bit more background and some of this foregroundy, mid-groundy stuff here, and try and give them something to actually like sit in and be running through. At the minute, it's just all a bit of a brown mushy mess, but fingers crossed tomorrow I can really get stuck in. I think this is the end of day 3 on this, so hopefully day 4 we can start it looking a little bit more like a real painting. Let me actually just show you the painting up close. So I've started getting, obviously, the wildebeest. I really like his head. His head's my favourite part of this. Not sure about the body yet, but I'll see what it looks like once it's all done together. Because at the minute it's hard to really imagine what it's going to look like finished until I've got all of this grass, or at least a little bit more of this grass in. So I might actually end up repainting completely over these wildebeest. I'm not sure yet. I'll see how they look with the rest of the picture. Fingers crossed I don't need to do that, but I might have to. But that is going to be a job for another day. For now, I'm going to tidy up my stuff and then just chill out and go and watch a bit of TV for a bit. Good morning, it's day 4 on this painting. And today I think I'm going to make a start on the background and some of this mid-ground stuff. Just going to get painting. At the moment, the background is quite mid-tony, and I want to put in a few more darks and a few more lights and just generally refine it. I don't think there's too much to do there because it is background. It's not going to be one of the main focuses of the picture, but it still just needs a little bit more because it just looks a little bit like a brown mess at the moment. So a few more darks, a few more lights should hopefully bring it into something that looks a little bit better. I'm also going to be working with a much smaller brush to try and just like solidify some of those shapes a little bit more. Okay, I think I'm done painting for the day. It's about 3:30 now. I'm going to go take Bella out for a walk. But I'm getting pretty happy with how this is looking now. I've got all of the background done and this like foliage in the midground. And I think there's a bit of depth in there. It's quite interesting to look at. I'm not totally happy with the values yet. I think there's a lot of sort of like mid values and not many darks and lights. And I'm not yet sure if these will stand out enough from the background. I quite like this side of the picture, but I'm not so keen on this side of the picture just yet. I think that orange down here is just a little bit distracting. So I think my plan is to do some mock-ups and maybe have them running out of like a little bit more dust and just knock this side of the picture back a little bit and make it a little bit more subtle, a little bit dustier, a little bit foggier, like a bit cloudier, not as detailed, so that you're drawn to this edge of the painting. I've then got the rocks to do, and then the special edition, which is actually probably going to be the main focal point of the picture, which I've not actually even started painting yet, that I'm going to save until the very end, so that you can see it as like a little surprise. I'm also going to make a little bit of a change to the sky. I think the sky is just a little bit too saturated. Like even now I can see in the screen here that it's just taking precedence over everything. So I'm just going to knock that back a little bit, make it a little bit greyer and probably a little bit lighter as well. And I'm hoping when I start adding some of this dust over the top, it's just going to push everything back that little bit more, and we can get some layers in here and create a little bit more depth. And obviously once the rocks are in, that's going to add another layer of depth to this painting as well. But that is a job for tomorrow, because tonight we're going to a pub quiz. So I'm going to get everything tidied up here and then get ready to go out. Good morning, it's a brand new day. It's actually Monday today because Friday got written off from painting because I was waiting for this to dry a little bit, but also I was ordering frames for an exhibition that I've got coming up at the end of July, 25th to the 27th of July at Goredale Garden Centre on the Wirral. So if any of you are in the UK, please do feel free to come and see us. That'd be fantastic. And then Saturday I went to a barbecue festival, which was absolutely fantastic. And then Sunday went for a walk with Bella, Amber and my parents. So it's Monday, it's a brand new week. We're on day 5 of this painting process. I'm hoping to get a good chunk of this done today, maybe even finished, but we'll see. There's quite a few changes that I'm going to need to make, so I'm going to get started. So I've added a little bit of dust over here because I wanted a little bit more motion to the painting. You might be able to see it, you might not be able to see it just yet, but I've also changed the sky colour. I've desaturated it quite a bit, and I've also added these clouds, which I think also add a sense of motion to the picture because I've tried to like move a lot of my brush strokes in sort of a this way, left to right motion to sort of visualise a little bit of a speed and movement and that bit of that motion blur, but then it's also added a little bit of depth to the picture as well. So those clouds look clearly in the background and these look more in the foreground now, and this sort of ledge at the back looks in front of those clouds. So it's all starting to make a little bit more sense and it's all coming together quite nicely. There's a few little changes that I need to make just down here. I want to darken his head and lighten this area here to sort of push you more towards the head as the focal point. And then I've got to make a start on those dreaded rocks. Wish me luck. I'm going to dive into this. It's now about 7:45 at night on Monday. I could power through and get the final bird finished, but I'm going to leave it for tonight and come back to it in the morning and hopefully get this piece finished completely tomorrow. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm going to do the final touches and then I'm going to show you the reveal.